Get Smart really is a writer's show.
We all had it in our minds. Let's do the slapstick for the kids and the political satire for the adults.
I think Get Smart was very unique because there's never been anything like it again.
The show was Don's show. I mean, if it weren't for him, it wouldn't have been.
Agent 86.
That's me, Chief.
American culture in the early 60s was much simpler than it is today. There was a lot of fear also about other countries spying on us and knowing things about us. And it was a time when we were concerned about the nuclear bomb.
John F. Kennedy loved Ian Fleming's James Bond character, and that started all these James Bond movies, Goldfinger and Thunderball. You've also got on TV, you've got Mission Impossible, The Wild Wild West, Honey West. All these spy things are happening on television. So the time is really ripe for a parody of the spy movies, which is what Dan Melnick cleverly came up with the idea there.
Dan Melnick said to Mel Brooks and to me at different times, he said, what are the two big films in the world today? James Bond and Clouseau. Get the picture?
That's Maxwell Smart, the control agent I told you about.
This kind of satire spoof, this Mel Brooks kind of humor isn't on television at the time, because all you've really got is Hazel and I Love Lucy. You've got like kind of family situation comedies. It's before Laugh-Ins happened on TV. It's way before Saturday Night Live. And that's the kind of humor that the show is introducing.
Well, it was up all our alleys. I mean, it was sort of signature stuff for me and for Mel and for a number of the other writers. It was commissioned by ABC, but they read the script of the pilot and thought, and I don't argue with them, that it was juvenile, stupid, and vaguely un-American.
Chaos has a nuclear bomb.
Doesn't everybody?
All we know is that they threatened to wipe out the city containing our finest intellectual minds and greatest leaders.
Well, at least Washington is safe.
We were in the doldrums and feeling bad when NBC presented a lifeline. They had looking for a property for Don Adams, and we decided that he'd be ideal for this.
Where did Don Adams come from? Don Adams was a stand-up comedian, and he was just kind of, fumbling around. He was in Miami Beach, playing some of the hotels there as a stand-up comedian. He comes up to New York for one of his parents' funerals. He realizes that Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts is having a casting call, an audition. So he goes to try out, and his real name is Don Yarmy. And so he's really tired at this point of being like the last one called in for the audition, because his last name begins with Y. So the spur of the moment, he just decides his last name's going to be Adams, which is his wife's stage name. So he becomes Don Adams, gets called up first, goes up, does his bit, and is doing some really funny material that he'd done in the Miami nightclubs. And that's what gets him his start. Suddenly he's on the Ed Sullivan Show, he's on all the Jack Paar Show. He's really making it big. And one of his good friends, he teams up with a man named Bill Dana.
Who's there? Jose? Jose who? Jose Jimenez.
I was house sitting for Imogene Coca, 300 Central Park West, and you have to see, this was like a Hollywood wealthy person's apartment, with this thick white rug and this ebony Steinway there. Don Adams was told to come and see Bill Dana, and he goes up, he knocks on the door, and I'm wearing Robert Burton, the guy who was married to Imogene at that time, his smoking jacket with a little foulard, So he's thinking, wow, this is some multimillionaire that for kicks wants to write for a comic. What's this all about? Anyway, that lasted about 10 minutes, because when I looked for a piece of paper that I had some notes on, my unemployment check fell out. Then he got into this impression riff. And one of the impressions was of William Powell as the Thin Man. He goes, There's your man, Inspector. A liar, a cheat, a thief, and a homicidal maniac. But he's my son, and I love him. Well, it was like a manna from heaven.
Bill Dana had created a character called Jose Jimenez, who's like a Mexican, nowadays it might be very politically incorrect, but kind of like a Mexican-Spanish character who works in a hotel and speaks with an accent.
We did no pilot or anything. The character was so hot anyway, and I, all this time, have said, hey, we're in a hotel. There should be a house detective. And I said, I got the guy, Don Adams, he's perfect. So we created Byron Glick.
Mr. Glick was just trying to be a good detective, Mr. Phillips.
Indeed. Well, Mr. Glick, if you really want to prove what a good detective you are, I know an excellent way you can do it.
How is that, sir?
By tracking down your brain.
Yes, sir. I'll get right on that. Right away, Mr.
So that character was doing the would you believe gag, and that's what Buck Henry and Mel Brooks get thrown at them. It's brilliant.
And I happen to know that at this very minute, 7 Coast Guard cutters are converging on this boat. Would you believe it? 7.
I find that pretty hard to believe.
Would you believe 6?
I don't think so.
How about 2 cops on a rowboat?
And in the pilot, which is rarely shown because it's in black and white, he really does his full-out Bill Powell voice.
Well, I think I'd like to take K-13 with me on this one. We've worked together before, and he's proved useful.
Send in K-13.
Yes, sir.
Over the next 3 or 4 shows, it got worn away. It got softened a bit because it was a touch abrasive.
It was a blessing in the first year to have Buck as the story editor. I felt the story had to be there or get smart would not succeed.
We were parodying specific events from other movies and, from sort of cultural touchstone things.
How many arrests did Control make last year?
I don't know.
Who's the #1 man in your organization?
I don't know.
How many cases were assigned to Control last year?
I don't know.
What would you do if you were fired, Mr. Smart?
They can't fire me.
And why not?
I know too much.
Playing around with the bureaucracy, the political bureaucracy.
Gentlemen, I submit that Control is a secret police force answerable only to itself. I submit that it is extravagant in its budget, ineffectual in its conduct, and worthless to the national interest.
He's on to us, Chief.
We drag this stuff out of the news all the time.
I will not be denied my vengeance on the United States.
Now listen, Red Cloud, we've always had great respect for the noble Red Man. Let's think of the past. Remember when you roamed these great plains with your buffalo, and then came our settlers, and then our soldiers. Let it rip, Red Cloud.
You could go pretty far. The Big Arrow always comes to mind.
Second biggest arrow I've ever seen.
The Peter Principle and several other principles like it are fundamental to all bureaucracies.
It may interest you to know that Red Cloud's enormous arrow is now on display in the West Wing of the White House.
No kidding, Chief. Where did it land?
In the West Wing of the White House.
Lenny Stern invented the opening, invented the doors and the elevator and all that stuff, which it was a stroke of genius.
The main title is a great main title. I was inordinately proud of it. I didn't realize it would have the longevity it had. In fact, a number of times in the latter years, I said, let's change it, and everybody voted against it.
In Hollywood, the winner is Bruce Bilson for Get Smart. Maxwell Smart, find it out.
The night we won the Emmy, it happened to be my 40th birthday, but I won for directing, Don won for acting, and Bert Nodella, who is a very good friend who I went to school with, won as the producer of the show.
I am hyperventilating.
And Rickles was at the table. And it was just a very big night for Get Smart. And that's the night that this came around. And Don came back with it from winning and sat down at the table. And Rickles said something, and Don turned to him. And as he turned to him, he sat down, and this thing went like that. It got him. It was really almost dangerous. It just drew a little blood.
Missed it by that much.
For this, I thank the Academy for being great fun to write for. Thank you, Don, Barbara, and Ed. And for continual satiric inspiration, I want to thank all those zanies in the CIA and the FBI.
Precisely what I was going to say. Thank you.
Try to keep your identity as secret as possible.
Don't worry, Chief. I know how to be inconspicuous. With all this dampness in the air, I can never do a thing with my hair.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
Yes, especially when it starts to curl up on me.
The Ship of Spies did win the Emmy, and it was very gratifying and exhilarating.
Max! Here we go.
$99?
What, Max?
You don't suppose when you pulled me, you might have torn me in half, do you?
I read the character Agent 99. I didn't audition for it, but I just read the script. I loved her outfit. She was wearing a chauffeur's outfit, and I thought that was really cool.
Well, you're a girl.
And I felt really comfortable with her and her attitude.
Barbara Feldon as 99 was really an amazing role model for young girls. She's kind of a feminist character in many ways at that time period because she's a woman with a job, she's a spy, she goes out there, she combats evil.
Come on, 99, let's get out of here. That thing is liable to go off any minute.
No, Max. When I caught the football, I heard it ticking. It was a simple timing mechanism, so I defused it with my bobby pin. Put on a pretty good act, didn't I?
You certainly did, 99, but you have to admit that my act of pretending to be frightened wasn't bad either.
I think one of the things that defined Agent 99's character on screen was Max.
But in many cases, it's 99 who's really running the show.
Nitro floor paint.
That's right. One false move and you'll be blown to kingdom come. Come on, Max.
99 never thought Max was dumb, but I think that she so worshipped him that any negativity just got sort of swept under the carpet and she could just go on with this complete adoration of him.
Max, are you listening?
Huh? Oh, yes, Chief. I'm just trying to figure something out. You see, the position of all these chaos agents can be explained, all except one.
Which one is that?
Now, what's this guy doing up here in Manitoba?
He was holding the map up.
I had seen Ed Platt in East of Eden and loved him and remember waiting for the credits to come on at the end of the film so I'd know his name. And I had an instinct that he would be ideal for the chief. My only concern was, would Ed be at home in comedy?
Here's our plan.
Hold it, Chief.
And I told him that. And he looked at me a moment thoughtfully, and then he stood up in my office, and suddenly he was singing Old Man River.
Alouette, gentille alouette, alouette, je te plumerai.
I knew I had my chief.
Good evening, Schmart.
We should talk about Bernie. He's another person with whom I had worked in the past and felt privileged to have seen a performance of his in Santa Monica Theater.
Leonard came to see this play where I was a Russian peddler selling what I called a fruit fluter. A fruit fluter, you screw it into a potato and it comes out a ribbon and you make a beautiful design and it's great.
He was immersed in the character to such a degree. I said to Gloria, my wife, we have to go backstage, and I want to talk to the actor. That was brilliant.
Leonard came backstage. His head was kind of scraping against the ceiling, and he said, I think you're terrific. We're going to work together. And I was used to people saying something like that, and I was saying to myself, sure, work together. Right.
And he couldn't get out of the accent. We spoke, and he was still in character. And I thought, that's remarkable. And I called him the next day to see if he had lost the voice finally.
This is Siegfried. Are you going to give me the explanation?
Leonard called me the next day, and I said, how do you do, Mr. Stern? It's a great pleasure to talk to you. Showing that I wasn't that guy anymore.
And I said, someday we'll work together.
Within 2 years, he created the role of Siegfried for me, and we became very dear friends, and we're still friends today.
And now, just to show you there are no hard feelings, a little magic trick.
Hey, look, Chief, it's a rabbit.
Observe this. Hands up!
The old gun and the rabbit trick, and I fell for it.
Even today, when I go out on the street, I don't think a week goes by that somebody doesn't yell, yo, 99.
The thing that I love about Get Smart is that it works on so many different levels. I mean, you can be a kid and enjoy it, and you can be an adult and enjoy it. And it's slapstick, it's farce, and at the same time, it's brilliant satire, and it's parody. So it's working on all these different levels of humor simultaneously, and it's quite ingenious.
But I look back on this as being one of the outstanding, happy memories of my career.
Auf Wiedersehen, Schmart.
Hey, did you ever find your watch?
No, I looked all over my dressing room, but it just disappeared.
Well, maybe you left it in makeup or wardrobe. It'll show up. I'm sure it'll show up somewhere.
Pardon me, gentlemen, but I couldn't help overhear my cue. Now, as I understand this case so far, you have lost your watch and you have searched your dressing room. Is that right?
That's right.
Have you searched Andy's dressing room?
Hey, wait a minute.
Take it easy, Andy. No one is above suspicion.
Yeah, but what would I want with Vince's watch?
Well, for one thing, on your show last week, you sang, I didn't know what time it was.
I didn't know.
Time on my hands?
No.
I love a parade.
No. I love a parade. Don't wait for that. Just turn the car.
Look. Now, wait a minute. Look, I know Andy didn't take my watch.
Of course I didn't take his watch.
All right, let's see now. You've searched your dressing room, is that right?
Yes, I told you that.
Have you looked in the chorus girl's dressing room?
Oh, why would I look there?
This guy deserves to have his watch stolen. Would you like me to sing Moon River? Well, I've got some theories on this case, and I'd like some time to investigate them. Now, do you two think that you can entertain the studio audience for a couple of minutes? Well, that may be asking a little too much. Well, just do what you can, and I'll be right back.
Well, Vince, what do we do?
I don't know.
Now, what kind of a lie is that? You know perfectly well what you're going to do. At this very moment, the combined London and New York Philharmonic Orchestras are waiting back there to accompany you in a number.
They are not.
Would you believe half the Pomona High School marching band?
No.
How about 10 nervous chorus girls with violins?
We believe that.
Right. Well, gentlemen, I've gone over the studio with a fine-tooth comb.
Did you come up with anything?
Yes, a very dirty, fine-tooth comb. I'd better speak to you about your studio, Andy. It's filthy.
What's that?
If I didn't know better, I would say that his shoe was ringing.
It is ringing.
Well, aren't you going to answer it?
No, it's probably not for me.
Go ahead and answer the phone, will you? I'll be up all night wondering who called.
Oh, all right. This is Maxwell Smart, Secret Agent 86. The tide is low when the moon is high. A wet flounder only flies at night. The shadeless windows admit no light. Right.
Who was it?
Wrong number. They were looking for a 9.5B and a brown suede.
Y tus trailers. Visita mi canal.
What about my watch?
Your watch. What watch? His watch. His watch, yes. Well, now let me see. You know, this reminds me very much of the Barenfeld case.
The Barenfeld case?
Yes. A gang of thieves broke into the Barenfeld mansion and stripped it of every piece of furniture in only 1 minute. Would you believe it? 1 minute.
It's a little hard to believe.
Would you believe 2 minutes? What if the Barenfelds pitched in?
Now, look, why don't we just forget the watch, Andy? This guy'll never find it.
Is that so? Do you know what this is?
Oh.
No.
Of course you don't. Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's an atomic magnet. The most powerful magnet in the world. You see, once the metal object is picked up on the rangefinder, I merely press this button, and the object is drawn into the case by the atomic magnet.
You use that on your own show?
No, they'd never believe it on my show. I only use it on guest appearances. You guys will believe anything. Now, Vince, in a matter of seconds, you'll have your watch.
Good.
There it is. It's located your watch. Now, I just press the magnet intake button. All right, Vince, remove your watch.
Well, this isn't my watch. These are braces that kids wear on their teeth.
You're right. Will the young man in the audience with the ridiculous overbite please come backstage after the show and claim this?
Well, what are you going to do now?
Well, on my own show, I'd keep looking for my watch. Or your watch. But on this show, I think we better sing. Right? Right!
This is 99 calling 86.
99 to Chief.
Yes? Max, where are you? In my lipstick is a transistor remote control.
It's a dirty, dangerous job. It'll require intelligence, determination, and icy nerves.
Wait a minute, Chief. You're not thinking of sending her. She's a woman.
Max, thank you.
In 1963, Betty Friedan wrote The Feminine Mystique, and little by little, women began to say, hey, maybe she's right. We don't have equality with men.
At that time, you didn't question your position. You were always, you always took second place to the man, in spite of the fact that you might have very high self-esteem and you might even be performing on a higher level.
Max, this job calls for an agent with high intelligence, sharp judgment, and total fearlessness.
Well, okay, Chief, if you put it that way.
Unfortunately, I can't spare 99 right now.
Barbara was good fortune, blessed with enormous insight on the part of David and Dan. They saw her potential from a commercial. Something with tigers on a rug.
I want a word with all you tigers. Oh, you men know which ones you are. I like you. Get the medicated hairdressing, top brass, and pick up.
She was very appealing, sensuous, and yet a lady and dignified.
And always having to wear shoes without heels.
And loving it.
She said she was the only actress in Hollywood with calluses on her ankles because she'd turn her feet in. That was indifference to Don, because Don, it made him feel better, Had I had my way, I would have emphasized the difference. I would have had her stand on an apple box and let him look up.
When we were working at Suskind's offices, Mel and I on the pilot, Barbara played the girlfriend of George C. Scott in the short-lived but hard-to-forget series called East Side, West Side. And it ain't easy playing George C. Scott's girlfriend. You gotta be formidable to go up against both his talent and his persona. And Barbara was wonderful in this part, and when somebody suggested it, I was thrilled at the idea.
When Get Smart was sold and Don was going to star in it, it was my responsibility to introduce him to Barbara on the screen. We thought once he sees her in Mr. Broadway, he'll be most responsive to her. And because she was very good and very effective in this program, and as I said, enchanting. He watched it, the lights went up, and I turned to him for a reaction. And he said, she's taller than Craig Stevens. I said, oh my God, I forgot the height problem. And I said, yes, she is. He says, but she's too damn good to let go.
Max, what did you do?
Just eliminated a chaos agent.
Well, how could you be sure?
Because, 99, my eagle eye picked out a few things that the ordinary person might not see. First of all, his sponge was absolutely filthy. Second, he was using horizontal strokes instead of vertical strokes. And finally, he was holding his squeegee with an overlapping lacrosse grip.
Besides, it's raining and window washers don't work in the rain.
I wasn't finished, 99.
Sorry, Max.
Besides, it's raining and window washers don't work in the rain.
Good thinking, Max.
And we decided to put her under contract for $4.99 when we hadn't even showed the show. I don't think we'd even finished the script.
I don't think Agent 99 was written for me. I know that I was offered it once they looked at what the character was. They had already seen me do a spy on another talent associate show on Mr. Broadway, and I played an industrial spy. But I'm quite sure it wasn't written for me. But I'm very, very grateful that they got the idea to use me. That was probably one of the most fortunate things in my life.
The name 99, originally the inside joke was they wanted to call her Agent 69, but they knew the censors would never allow that. So instead they picked 99, which is, I think, even better. You know, it's just much more sexy name.
I just wanted her to have a number. I thought that would be good in television, to have a beautiful woman who never had a name.
Don't worry, 99. Nothing's going to happen to me.
You know what I mean, Max.
Yes, I do. Ernestine.
That's the first time you've ever called me Ernestine.
I know.
I wish it were my name.
The idea is that she would have a crush on Max and just be fawning over Max, but she would never let him know that she had a crush on him because she had to play the role of the serious spy. So they have this wonderful relationship where Max doesn't have a clue. He's just totally oblivious to the fact that 99 is madly in love with him. And she's always fawning after him, thinking he's the greatest ever, but she's also, in some ways, she's quite aware when he kind of fumbles, but because she's so in love with him, she just kind of excuses all his accidental, idiocy.
99?
Yes, 86.
Put Plan 49K into effect immediately. That's 49K.
Right, 86. Hello, Control. Hello, Control.
99.
Hello. Yes, 86.
What is Plan 49K?
I take the subject to my apartment. I keep it there and I don't let her out of my sight.
Right.
Right. This is Agent 99. Agent 99.
99?
Yes, 86.
What do I do?
You follow the suspect.
I was always very admiring of Diana Rigg, who did the Avengers in England, because she was tough. I mean, she didn't smile all the time like Agent 99 did. I mean, she just did the job. And she was my role model in a way. I never quite accomplished it.
Barbara was not a physical fighter. That's not where her strength lay, with shooting guns and karate chops.
They tried and tried for the first season to have Agent 99 engaged in some kind of karate episode, and they would laugh and say that her arm would go up. By the time it hit the guy's neck, it was like a feather. It would just like kind of float down his neck.
Now!
I remember a day she did one where I'd never seen her do this before. She hurt her hand. She's very thin, and it hurt when she brought it down back really on the guy's shoulder, and we kept it in.
Barbara's a poetic soul and doesn't live vicariously through her character, and Don was. Remember, this gave Don 5 inches of height, muscles that he didn't have.
One day we were shooting a show on location. We were on a cliff, and Don suddenly got inspired and said to the director, why don't Agent 99 and Max just jump off this cliff? You could get from below and it'd be this great shot, and I'm listening to this and still, not saying anything. And so he said, this is going to work, Barbara. He said, I was in the Marines, and he said, I'm going to go over first, and then you go over second. And as I slide down this incline, I'm going to break, sort of break your fall. And so they said action, and I took a deep breath. Don went over, then I jumped over, and I skidded right past him. I was totally scratched. I was in tears when I ended up at the bottom. And yes, he did go slower. It's just that I went faster.
99, look out behind you. 99, I think we've got the beat.
Yeah! I didn't think that Agent 99 was groundbreaking at the time. It just seemed very traditional at the time for this woman to be acting this way with this man. I kind of ignored the fact that she was so good at what she did and she was ranked so highly in the organization. That didn't really land on me at the time. I mean, later on, a lot of women have said to me that they were so influenced by Agent 99. They were, she was a great role model for them. But at the time, I didn't even think about that.
Barbara had a boat, and she'd be at the marina, and people found out where it was, and you'd see, every day you'd see little girls standing at the gate, and going, hey, 99. And she was very gracious. She'd go up and, sign autographs and let them take pictures and so on. But young women loved her, and men of all ages loved her.
Oh, that looks wonderful. Turn around. Excellent. What do you think, Max?
Well, it's very nice, but will your wife wear it?
The wardrobe. Get Smart was a very fashionable show.
Max. The wardrobe came out of the time. If that show were done today, the wardrobe probably wouldn't be quite as startling.
Max! Look at you!
Well, you don't look too good when you first get up either.
Fashion was very much in the foreground. It hadn't sort of disintegrated into everything. We had come out of the 50s, we were just into the 60s, so we still had all of that conventional wardrobe.
No one will suspect a thing.
Maybe I should wear the earrings, Max.
Oh? Oh, right, 99. They'll probably look better on you anyway.
And the mod clothes, such a shocking departure from that it caught everyone's attention and their imagination. And it was much more playful and fun, I think, to wear them. But at that time, Rudy Gernreich was designing, and I was wearing a lot of his clothes. And I had been a model, so I was very aware of what fashion was, and I knew what I liked to wear, and I enjoyed wearing clothes that were, a little on the cutting edge.
And she had all that fancy designer clothes. They were a big deal. Some of them looked a little weird to me, but they were the fashion of the day. And she was very well dressed, and I think that may be part of what young ladies of the world admired about her, as well as the fact that she was holding up her half of that combo of controlled spies.
I had a free ride in terms of wardrobe for about 5 years because I got to wear everything I loved to wear on Get Smart. And then I actually got to keep all the clothes. So I was a little shocked later on when I had to start buying clothes for myself and thought, oh, wow, this is expensive.
Oh, yes, 99. That's much better.
She's a very distinctive actress. She's the most, I've said this many times, the most non-actressy actress I've ever met in all my years in the business.
And everybody had a bit of a crush on Barbara Feldon, and some of us still do.
Here.
The keys to your apartment? You little tiger, you.
Hey, stop that!
He doesn't know what he's doing.
I love Barbara. She, as opposed to so many people in our business, so many girls in our business, she is smart.
It was sort of a game to her, and it came relatively easy for her. But she really didn't hang out on the set. She'd be in her dressing room and she'd be reading Tolstoy.
Poor Max. He was so young.
Yes, he was young.
And vital.
He was vital.
And intelligent. Loyal?
Yes, he was loyal.
And then Barbara became interested in photography. And I questioned her at one point. I said, "You've had the camera for a while. How's it going? I'd love to see some of the pictures." And she said, "Well, I don't have any." And I said, "But I see you using the camera." And she said, "Well, I don't put any film in it." And she said, "When I look through the lens, the picture's for me, and I have it in my mind when I click the lens, and that's it."
Amazingly, 99 was the first working woman in a sitcom. I mean, a lot of people will point to Mary Tyler Moore, and the Mary Tyler Moore Show is the first single woman with a job, but 99's a single woman who's a spy with a gun, who goes out there and fights evil, an amazing role model. And in fact, in my Get Smart handbook, I dedicate it to my wife, who I call my 99, who amazingly thought that was like the greatest compliment I could ever pay her.
When I was doing Get Smart, and when I was presenting this character who became a role model for a lot of little girls who cut their hair in bangs and wanted to be strong and smart and bold like Agent 99, I was not really in my personal life quite as evolved as Agent 99 was. I was playing a character that was really beyond, in a funny way, considering that she was a cartoon character, basically beyond where I had developed. And later on in life, I did become that. I did become more independent and more self-sufficient and more, had more equilibrium in life. So in a funny way, you could almost say that Agent 99 became a role model for the actress who was playing her.
Tus trailers. Visita mi canal.
This is Smart. Maxwell Smart, Agent 86.
We invented an awful lot of peculiar, gadgets.
A pivotal part of Get Smart were all the gadgets, all these wacky, weird, strange gadgets. Everything from pens to the gadgets on Max's car, the ejector seat that would spring at the wrong time, or you'd have in his apartment this invisible plexiglass bulletproof shield that would come down that Max would keep knocking himself into, bumping his head on. And there are hundreds of gadgets on the show. They just never stopped creating them.
Well, at least they gave me my electric snake. Electric snake? Yes. Very, very good for creating a diversion. Well, what does it run on? Tiny little feet.
And of course, they're really fun to invent, and they're fun to do when they work.
It's not working. I designed already this very cuckoo clock.
Sometimes they're more clumsy than funny, but still, stuff like, his fake arms that he got out of because they weren't real arms when they were tied to something always amused me.
Some of my personal favorite gadgets are 99's compact, the lipstick, it's like a lipstick phone with the compact. To me, it's just so silly and absurd, but it's so brilliant at the exact same time.
Gadgets that were often seen on television were often looked at by developers in the agency and engineers in different agencies for ideas.
This is an old system Maxwell would have been real proud of. This is a wristwatch camera. And you cut your own film for it in the back. It comes with the kit for making your own film. It also comes with all the developing chemicals that you need to develop your pictures.
There was always something new, and it always had to work. We had a property master. One of the things he did, he took an old doorbell button, and when Don pressed it, whatever was supposed to happen, happened. He just had that simple solution that worked.
Various intelligence agencies had what they would call the cone of silence.
Isn't this top security?
Yes.
Well, shouldn't we activate the cone of silence?
The cone of silence. It's always Max insists on it. And a perfect example of Ed Platt.
Max, I've been having a little mechanical difficulty with it lately, and
Don't be ridiculous, Chief. The whole thing is so simple. All you have to do is press this button and turn this lever all the way to the right.
Now, here's our plan.
Hold it, Chief. Okay, go ahead.
First, You take Tanya to your apartment. Make sure you're not being followed, except, of course, by our own men. Meanwhile, I will take 99 disguises Tanya to a commercial hotel. We'll register 99, and we'll sneak her out of the hotel, making sure that some of our men stay behind to guard her room as a decoy. Have you any questions?
No, Chief, I think that just about covers everything.
I loved the cone of silence and would have used it more, but it was kind of hard to get to. The shoe phone was used a lot more than that, I think, because it was handy to have in times of trouble.
Pardon me, I wonder if you'd mind working on that shoe for a while. Oh, this is smart.
Maxwell Smart had a shoe phone, and one time the government agencies were looking at it, and they said, well, this is a great idea. And whenever you put a group of engineers in a room together, they're going to get carried away. So it became a shoe phone that recharged itself as you walked, and it was also a transmitter. The problem was that the audio transmitter was down at your feet, so what happened was the audio would be all muffled. It would be like having your ears on your toes, and naturally you don't hear properly.
What was that? I think I just broke my shoe phone.
Buck was dreaming up things. I mean, everybody was dreaming up things for the show, and they were things that the CIA had.
We were very aware of the CIA. We were very aware of the KGB. And I think that one agency was probably fascinated with the other, and I think that showed up in Get Smart.
The intelligence agency once had a project where they were training a pigeon that would have a transmitter on it, an audio transmitter, and the pigeon was trained to walk over to a specific park bench. Well, the day came for operation, and the pigeon was wired up and went over to the bench, and it started walking around the two suspects. And all of a sudden, one turns down and tries to shoo the pigeon away. The pigeon doesn't leave, and next thing you know, he kicks the pigeon, breaks its neck, and that was the end of it.
These are all concealed cameras. Okay, so they're inside of clock radios, air purifiers, pens, smoke detectors, alarm sensors, radios, pretty much anything you can imagine.
Closed circuit TV, huh?
We even put cameras in, like that monkey over there, that has a small camera inside of it.
On a particular episode, Maxwell Smart actually sees a fly and decides to eliminate it.
What about that fly? Huh? Oh, got it.
And it turns out that that was a listening device.
As far as parabolic mics go, they will increase your hearing about 8 to 10 times.
Sorry!
As far as the big ear that Maxwell used to wear on the show, that doesn't work very well, and neither does ours.
We were in a third world country working with third world operatives, and we had to get into a location. Well, the only thing stopping us was a set of dogs that would patrol the area. And normally, when you see dogs, you wonder how you're going to get rid of them. And the agents we were working with says, we have a way of doing this. And the next thing we know, we turn around and there they are, butt naked. And they're splattering this talcum powder all over themselves so that the dogs would not have a scent. So here they are running across the entrance field with a little black bag and nothing else on. Just the birthday suit and the bag. That's it. I'm just sitting there shaking my head saying, I don't believe this, but it works.
Gentlemen, the world's foremost master of disguise, Alexei Sebastian.
Intelligence agencies spent a lot of time and a lot of effort on disguises.
I hope these disguises work, Max.
Don't worry, 99. My own mother wouldn't recognize me. Of course, I'm not expecting my mother today.
And it was proven to work. Where the person standing next to you, you wouldn't recognize him if it was your own brother.
Wait a minute, what is this? Max, which one are you?
Right here, Chief. Right here, Chief. Right here, Chief. No, he's Lamoco. I'm Max. Don't fall for that, Chief. I'm Max.
I'm the prince. I'm hungry.
Where are you, 13?
Said you 86?
Most intelligence agencies have two sides of the house. One being the human side and the other one being the technical side. The human side of the house, they would turn around and say, we want to do it because we want to have a person there. And ultimately it would always be, wouldn't it be like Get Smart and have somebody hiding in the fireplace? When you're working with an intelligence agency, it's all glory and it's all about the job, but the bottom line is when you have to pay your bills and feed your family, you know, everybody's conscious of this.
Please sign this contract.
So there was always joking around, you know, we don't have a union that could represent us, but maybe we should.
Is that a standard contract? What about free funerals?
Free funerals? I've never heard of such a thing.
During Get Smart, we were wet so much of the time. We were washed over by water on a ship. We were in ponds and lakes and waterfalls. We were in a car wash with the top down. We were drowned in a phone booth.
There was a show where Don and Barbara were supposed to get drowned in a phone booth. And that episode started with another person, a lady who was trying to be an informer in that very same phone booth. And as she was trying to become an informer, the bad guys came to a wheel in the hall and turned it like this, and that thing flooded with water, and she was a goner. And that was the teaser of the show. Later on, Don and Barbara got into that same phone booth. But the problem was we had a page-and-a-half scene while the thing was filling up, and I needed cues to control the level of the water. So I got the special effects man. We went through the script, and I gave him 5 cues. You know, one is here, 2 is here, 3, 4, 5. Right? And he just watched my hand. Now I'm here, I've got the script, and I'm ducked down under the camera, and we start rolling, and it's working, and it's great. And I cue the 1, the water's coming, and I cue 2, and the scene is playing, and the shoe phone is wet, and he's looking for change for a quarter, and it's going, and it's fine, and I'm going along, and I get to the 5th cue, and then I stop worrying about this hand, and I'm watching, and I'm laughing, because it's really funny, but he's watching my hand, and I can't laugh out loud, so I'm going, and all of a sudden, he thinks I want more, and he just keeps the water coming and blew them right out of the phone booth.
The memory I have of being in the phone booth was that as we were climbing out of it, when they drained it out, they put a ladder in so we could climb out of it. Some water splashed onto a light, a big light, and it exploded. And that was one of those kind of potentially really dangerous accidents that can happen when you're doing a show.
You remember the car in the show, the little Sunbeam Alpine? They were in Griffith Park, and I got a call from the production manager saying, "We need the car. Would you drive it out?" And I said, "Sure." You know. So I got in the car, and I noticed that the gas gauge was low, and I stopped at a gas station. And the guy is filling the tank, check the air and all that, and he said, "You want me to look under the hood?" And I said, "Yeah." And he opens the hood, and he's doing the oil thing, and he said, "What's that?" And I said, "What?" I said, "Oh, that's a cannon." And he just continued with the dipstick. He said, "Oh," and that was it. He made no surprise on his face or anything.
Bert and Odell and I are both sailors and friends and schoolmates, all of the above. And along came this episode where Don and Barbara were supposed to be on a sailboat on their honeymoon, as I recall, and the boat gets blown up. And each of us sort of said, "You can use my boat." Now the boat is going to get blown up with an optical effect that's not going to hurt anybody's real boat. So I wanted to use my boat, and Bert Modella wanted to use his boat.
So we were discussing which boat should be used.
And I was the director, and he was the producer.
And I outranked them. So they got to use mine. And it was very effective. I mean, it was amazing. And they did a smash cut, and they had an explosion. And it really looked like my boat was sinking. And I remember my face was down. We were in dailies, and Bruce said, "Well, you should be happy. They used your boat." And I said, "No, we're sad. It's gone."
And Get Smart, there'd be gadgets for the whole run of the 5 seasons. They'd keep creating new gadgets, which was part of the excitement of the show.
I'm deeply sorry to say that nobody ever called from any government or quasi-government institution to say, you know, you're treading on dangerous ground here. Please keep these fabulous ideas to yourself.
If only he could have turned his evil genius into niceness. Why, I once trained a girl to swim across the English Channel 4 times. Would you believe it? 4 times.
I find that hard to believe.
Would you believe 3 times across the Mississippi?
I don't think so.
How about twice around the bathtub? Once around the bathtub?
We had a remarkable good fortune with catchphrases.
Missed me by that much. I asked you not to tell me that. Would you believe?
Get Smart created so many catchphrases that pervade our culture to this day. It's amazing that one show could have created so many catchphrases. And the phrases are like,
the old bomb and the snack truck trick.
John's distinctive delivery gave it a significance, importance, and pertinence. And then, so much so that 4 weeks after the show premiered on the maiden flight to the moon, when something went wrong aboard the spaceship, the astronauts said, "Sorry about that, Chief," in Don's voice.
Sorry about that, Chief.
Astonishing.
Roger.
Sorry about it.
Don't say it!
Hi, fellas.
Bill Dana and Don Adams had created the Would You Believe routine for the Bill Dana show. So they came to the show with the Would You Believe gag.
I wrote that formula to sweeten a routine that we already had. Don had part of it, and then we built it together, called The British in India. Not so fast, Smarty Khan. You think you got me, but I have you surrounded by the entire mounted 17th Bengal Lancers. Khan says, "I don't believe you." Would you believe the 1st Bengal Lancers? No. How about Gunga Din on a donkey? Not necessarily all that funny, but it was a formula that worked, and then we tried a few times in the Bill Dana show.
300 gallons, Mr. Brown. Would you believe it?
That's pretty hard to believe.
Would you believe a quart?
And then, of course, it became like the keynote of Get Smart.
Yes, would you believe it?
That's hard to believe.
I was always doing that, coming up with stuff, and third parties were making a buck out of it. Years ago, I went on the Carson show and announced to the audience, anybody who's used this comes from a copyrighted piece of material. So you have to send $10 and stamp or coin. And I got back, would you believe a nickel? Would you believe a dime? And then the best one was an envelope filled with ashes. Would you believe the check got burned in the mail?
Would You Believe came out of Don's act, out of his parody of William Powell summing up a murder case at the end of any of the Thin Man's show. Well, you see, if the little man, all that stuff. And it was part of his act. And in the pilot, which is rarely shown because it's in black and white, he really does his full-out Bill Powell voice.
You're very clever, my charming little friend, but not clever enough. You see, the moment I suspected there was something wrong with this old scow, I immediately telephoned headquarters. And I happen to know that at this very minute, 7 Coast Guard cutters are converging on this boat.
Visita
Would you
mi
believe
canal.
it? 7.
I find that pretty hard to believe.
Would you believe 6?
I don't think so.
How about 2 cops on a rowboat?
In the pilot, it was 3 steps. And it became a 2-step.
Don't worry, 99. I'm used to dealing with big babies like this. I'll have them out in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Would you believe 3 shakes?
I think it had to do a lot with the actor's delivery. I mean, who can forget Don with that high-pitched voice? My voice won't do it, but it was, would you believe?
Would you believe the 6th Fleet?
I don't think so.
How about a school of angry flounder?
That was mostly Don, really. And Barbara, of course, was wonderful.
Max, that's very hard to believe.
And she drove that line, walked that line, admiring him, helping him, Oh, Max.
Oh, Max.
Good thinking, Max. Oh, Max, please be careful.
Look out, Max. Thousands of times. To be famous for yelling, go figure.
In August 1966, Don Adams, Barbara Feldon, and Ed Platt, together as the characters, entertained the United States Army Counterintelligence Corps at its annual convention banquet. So art suddenly imitated reality, and you can imagine the cast of Get Smart entertaining a bunch of spies.
No, never happened. No. But something that amused me when I visited the CIA was they said that they used to watch and imitate Get Smart.
I'm about to make my contacts. Over and out. Contacts made with perfect precision, Chief. I have my identity papers, my password, and my morning newspaper. Password is, when the moon is full, the tide is high. I like that.
Max is always using these signs and countersigns and passwords.
The wind fair to Java?
All clear, no storm on the horizon.
And it'll have no meaning at all. And you're wondering, how do these people memorize these absurd passages to meet each other? And it's just making fun of the whole spy culture.
Wished I was in the land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away. Away down south in Dixie.
I had served in counterintelligence during the war, so I had an appreciation of the absurdities that went on in real life, and so capitalized in and on film.
Leonard Stern was a spy during World War II, and so he had his own commentary to make about the whole spy industry.
My experience fortified the moments, gave them a basis for reality, and when anybody said that can't happen, I had irrefutable proof that it could in my mind, so that I withstood many challenges and many attempts to change things.
Hi, 86. Agent 13 here.
What have you got, 13?
Claustrophobia and flat feet.
Leonard Stern is the one who created the idea of Agent 13 hiding in a mailbox or a locker. And so, like, the locker would open, and then someone would get smashed in the face with the locker.
Thanks a lot, 86.
Oh, sorry about that, 13.
So the idea of guys hiding in mailboxes and hiding in lockers and hiding in soda machines, hiding in couches was just really funny to him. And obviously it's hysterical because normally these spies are out in the open or they're amongst us, and you never think of them hiding in pianos, but that's where they are on Get Smart.
Say, 13, that's a great disguise.
What disguise? I'm on fire.
Right. Siegfried's a great.
One of our favorite scenes, Siegfried kidnapped the chief.
And the chief is sitting there. And I said, you will not divulge our location, you understand?
Max, don't bargain with chaos. I'm expendable. My life. Schmaut?
What happened?
Your chief was just silenced by a pistol butt.
Well, that's a little drastic, isn't it, Siegfried? Couldn't you have just shushed him?
We don't shush here.
We don't shush here. And that became one of the runners, because Leonard was on the set.
When Bernie was searching for something, and we came up with that.
And he said, forget about the other line, he said, use this.
And that was just this lovely joke that was a favorite. And we often said we don't shush here about anything after that.
Visita mi canal.
You don't shush here. I shush here. Shush!
We were in a submarine, and we were being bombarded with depth charges. And Smart is giving me the needle, and he said, your men are beginning to panic. And I said,
Never. My men are thoroughly trained. They will not panic until I give the order to panic.
And now it's 2 depth charges, shake the whole thing, and I said,
prepare to panic!
In Snoopy, Smart, and the Red Baron, Don and Barbara discover this World War I biplane that I've been using to destroy the potato crop of the United States. All of these plots. And he comes into the barn and the plane is covered with straw and hay. And he said,
So that's how you've been destroying the potato crops.
Exactly. I offer the farmers free crop dusting, but
instead of insecticide, we spray a newly developed bacteria, a bacteria capable of entering the potato by osmosis. Once inside,
it eats up the entire potato and burps and dies, leaving no trace.
Since Siegfried flies home victoriously.
Stark up ist ein der Gleise von Bidon here.
I remember one show, we were in a Chinese restaurant, and Max was having this big fight, and he was hitting this huge guy, and he would give him some big insult.
Okay, Fatso, that's it. I shall now proceed to take you apart piece by piece.
And he hit the guy with all of his might, and the guy just stood there. And Don just looked at him and said,
Listen, I hope I wasn't out of line with that crack about Fatso.
Another one of catchphrases.
Max!
99, don't tell me there's no fire escape.
There's no fire escape!
I asked you not to tell me that.
Well, I don't think one does go about writing a catchphrase. They have their own life force.
Some were intended, some weren't.
It just happened by accident. You know, the writers had written some lines of dialogue, and
you had gloriously brilliant comedic minds working intensely. When I say intensely, we were having a lot of fun.
Starke, this is chaos. We don't do here.
And there was also a spirit of freedom, a spirit of creativity.
And that was always fun to do.
The old gun in the banana trick I put in because we had an awkward moment aboard the boat.
The old Wilbur and the Drake trick. The old gun and the camera trick.
The old gun and the rabbit trick.
And now, just to show you there are no hard feelings, a little magic trick.
Hey, look, Chief, it's a rabbit.
Observe this. Hands up!
The old gun and the rabbit trick.
The second time today.
The old Maxwell Smart silhouette on the window shade trick. That's the second time Chaos has fallen for it this month. That's the second biggest silencer I ever saw.
Versions of a kind of runner gag, which was, that's the most something I've ever seen.
It's the second biggest arrow I've ever seen.
I remember putting it into a script, but I don't know whether I put it in because Don gave it to me or because I invented it.
Missed me by that much. Twice.
Missed it by that much, or Anne loving it.
You'll be in extreme danger every minute.
And loving it.
These catchphrases came out of Don's mind, out of Leonard's mind, out of Buck's mind.
And when you say them to this day, people know it's like self-mocking. You're making fun of yourself in a witty way, so it's like self-deprecating, it's witty at the same time. Maybe that's some of the magic of those catchphrases.
I probably theoretically would have argued against them as being repetitive and childish and cheap. On the other hand, you can't beat them.
How does that go, 99? Don't tell me it goes like that. I asked you not to tell me it goes like that.
Get Smart attracted a unique fan base.
The really rabid fans are the fans of Get Smart. They're very emotional.
Well-informed people with perceptions beyond fandom. They had an affection that was palpable. They truly, loved the show weren't living it vicariously, but just the sheer pleasure it brought them was reward enough.
The fan network is primarily all over the internet.
I'd say there's about 20 Get Smart websites in total right now.
Of the Get Smart websites, the most popular is wouldyoubelieve.com.
I call it the complete Get Smart guide. It's got an episode guide. It's got a list of the writers, the directors, the show history. It's got frequently asked questions about the show. It's got a list of all the gadgets and all the catchphrases.
Max, are you all right? Missed me by that much, Chief.
It's just about everything you could want to know about Get Smart is on wouldyoubelieve.com.
Would you believe that much?
I recently journeyed to Hong Kong, and while meeting with a member of the Ministry of Culture, they said, "Oh, you're the person that has the Get Smart website." I couldn't believe that it actually made it to China and that someone was there, but they knew the website and they knew me because of the website when I wasn't there for anything having to do with Get Smart.
I find it very difficult to believe.
There also are a couple fans in countries like China, Russia, that you would never think the show could have gotten to.
I suppose you can guess what they call me.
Lefty?
My name is the Craw.
The Craw?
Oh, not the Craw. The Craw.
Oh, yes, the Craw.
It just relates over getting the joke, and even if the stereotypes are way outrageous, I think people just like to laugh at themselves.
A lot of the Get Smart sites now, other than mine, will focus on something specific. There's one that focuses on Bernie Kopell. There's one that focuses on the Chief.
My website, which I have solely dedicated to the Sunbeam Tiger. A few other fans have just picture sites with just their favorite pictures and what the show means to them. Artwork, maybe articles that people might be interested in.
I collect Get Smart memorabilia. I started as a young kid living that show, and I started buying up Get Smart items, you know, everything from paperbacks to the comic books. And I started that actually before there was an eBay, so it was actually pretty difficult. I was going around to old bookstores looking for these items.
Welcome to my Get Smart collection. Would you believe that congressmen, senators, why even the President of the United States came by to see this collection?
I find that pretty hard to believe.
Would you believe the Burbank Chamber of Commerce?
I don't think so.
Well, how about the plumber that came by yesterday to fix my toilet?
These are just 12-inch figures of both Maxwell Smart and also the Chief. This really doesn't look a whole lot like Maxwell Smart. However, they did do a little bit better job on this one than another figure that I have in the box. Here's the other one that was put out. And his clothes look a little big on him.
My favorite memorabilia item that I have that pertains to Get Smart is a small gold keychain that is shaped in the shape of Maxwell Smart's shoe phone. And on the end is a little blank key that was meant to have a key cut if you wanted to have one cut. And the history behind that keychain was that Don Adams in 1966 gave his shoe phone over to a jeweler to have copied into a little gold shoe. The heel turns, inside the heel has a dial, and inside the dial has his number 86. And he gave those out to executives and friends that worked on the show. There were a limited amount that were made, I'd say probably 25 or 26 of them. It's a prized possession, and I was willing to pay any price to get it.
This is a car that was put out by Johnny Lightning. I've got my little Sunbeam Alpine Tiger, but Sue Kessler, she's got the real thing.
I got my Sunbeam Tiger in 2002. Unfortunately, the one I found needed to be restored and refurbished. The original color was this British racing green, so it needed to have the carnival red color. It needed to have the Tiger interior all redone, brand new tires, engine work, the whole 9 yards. Finally, after about 5 months, it was restored to really a nice shape and nice quality. This is my replica of Maxwell Smart's car that he drove in the Get Smart series. Up on the front here that we've simulated is a cannon machine gun that actually comes out of the hood.
That's the trigger, Max.
Sorry about that, Chief.
Inside Max's car, he had the latest technology to track down chaos. Underneath the dash, he had a radar unit that had a closed-circuit television. In the dash, he had various knobs that controlled the ejector seat. If someone he got in there and he didn't like, he would just flip the switch. Let's say Max was being followed by chaos, and if he wanted to make a quick getaway, he would go to his dash and flip the switch, and it would expel smoke screen so he could make a quick getaway.
99, you pushed the wrong button. That's the smoke screen.
Max, the smoke! I can't see!
That's funny. I'm having the same trouble on my side.
I've had a lot of fun with it, with car shows and having this cutout of Max standing next to it. Everybody just loves it. They love it when they see it because it reminds them of the show and it brings back a lot of memories. And that's the fun thing about showing it at car shows. At the autograph show, I took the visors off of the car and had Barbara sign one and Don sign the other. Don didn't really know what it was at first. He says, "Am I supposed to sign this?" And I said, "Of course, it goes on the car." And he just kind of shook his head like, "You fans."
I came across this again at some little store. What it is, it's the adapted Get Smart TV show to a stage play. So I guess somebody put it together to do a live show. And you can see that this belonged to somebody because they've got their lines underlined and highlit. I thought that was kind of interesting that somebody would take the time to convert it to a stage play.
These are 52 original Get Smart scripts that I picked up at an auction in Beverly Hills last year, and it was quite a find. There are not too many out there that people have, so I feel very privileged at getting them. They're all different kinds. Mostly they're final drafts, but what's interesting about these scripts, when you read them, that the final draft does not reflect the air final, or what you're seeing on the air. A lot of it's been changed due to, from what I heard, Don Adams changing his script at the last minute, making revisions, and so it's kind of neat to see what they originally intended the show to be and how it actually turned out. As you can see in this script, it has different color pages. Each color represents a different revision for the script. So it could start out with white, a white page, and then when they made a revision, the second revision could be the color pink. Then when they made a third revision, it would turn to blue. And it represents a change in the dialogue, or possibly a set change or an omission from a certain scene. A lot of the scripts were written by very talented writers. And of course, there were some scripts written in the first season and second season by creator Mel Brooks and his writer Gary Belkin. Really very funny episode called Our Man in Leotards. Quite a few scripts were written by Leonard Stern and story editor Buck Henry. One was called Ship of Spies.
Watch it, Chief. That's where I went overboard.
Well, really, it looks solid now.
Oh, well, they must have fixed it up. This is where the bullets hit.
Even Don Adams wrote a couple episodes of Get Smart with his sister, Gloria Burton. And it just so happens that the one that he wrote called To Sire with Love is actually his very favorite Get Smart.
Hurry up, 99, or we'll be late.
I'll be ready in just a minute, Max. Max, if you have a minute, would you clear the table?
I just did. Ah, 99, you better hurry up or we'll be late.
I'll be down in a minute, Max.
All right.
For me, it was his innocence and his charming, boyish ways that made me fall in love with him in 1966, and it's a love affair that's been going on ever since.
Another wonderful aspect of Get Smart is that you've got the chemistry of this cast, all these amazing cast members and amazing writers, and then you've got the gadgets and all the jokes and the catchphrases. There's just so much going on in an episode that it's just this wonderful, wonderful show.
I met with Leonard Stern, and when talking with him, I told him how the fans really enjoyed the show, and he said, you know, I really wouldn't know that. I'd love to see some of the fans' emails. And so I assembled a packet of emails I had received over the years from fans of what Get Smart meant to them. And I presented that to him, and he was stunned. He said it brought a tear to his eye because he had never really realized that the work he did had an impact on people and that it actually had touched their lives, and this was proof.
In my high school yearbook, it said goal or objective, and I wrote a pretentious thing looking back at to amuse the world. But here, at least, I'm doing part of it. I made somebody feel better, whether it was for 30 minutes or 22, as it now would be. That's, to me, a tremendous accomplishment and a source of pride.
Chief, I think I should open with a joke.
Max, tell them.
Gentlemen, I don't exactly know how to tell you this, but there's a bomb planted in Jaime. I told you I should have opened with a joke.
When I started my website, the #1 request I had from fans was, hey, let's have a Get Smart convention where the fans could let the cast and crew know, hey, you meant a lot to me and mean a lot to me, and the cast and crew could say, thank you, that's really nice, I'm glad it touched someone. We had about 80 fans and about 70 cast and crew along with their wives. And it became a really wonderful night.
And it was a big do, and everybody was sitting at it. Barbara was at one table with a bunch of fans, and I was at another table with a bunch of fans.
We tried to mix it up a little bit so that everyone got to sit with at least 2 cast or crew members. And what happened was it became a night where people just talked and got to know one another.
It was very nostalgic. I noticed a script girl, Vicky, was sitting at 2 tables away from me, and I walked over and I pulled her to her feet and I hugged her and I started to cry. I don't know what it was. It touched something in me, and it was just a very nostalgic moment.
We held a party for Get Smart, for all the cast after the book came out. And I got up in front of everyone and said, you know, the reason I wrote this book is because when I was a kid, I wanted to be Maxwell Smart. I wanted to have 99. I wanted to have the car. And then Don Adams came up and gave a little speech, and he said, just like on a dime, he said, I always wanted to be Joey Green. I wanted to have his wife. I wanted to have his car. I wanted to have his life. I was just amazed at this guy. He was just so clever and so sharp and so biting and satiric. And it was just wonderful to find out that the guy I loved and admired and was like one of my comedic heroes was that guy in real life.
Don Adams came to the event even though he had recently broken his hip. He wanted to enjoy the event, so he didn't take any pain medication that day. So he sat through 100 photos with the fans, even though he was in pain the entire time, and talked with each one and said hello to each one.
It was a most rewarding evening because of the consummate belief these fans had in the show and participated with such unrestricted joy in each moment.
Don Adams was forced to leave early because he was in such pain. And so I stood up and said, could everyone please let Mr. Adams know how we feel about it? And he got a prolonged standing ovation. And it touched him so much he started to cry. And he cried all the way out to the limo. It was the first time in his life that he realized that people cared about him and his work, and it touched him deeply. And he told many people it was one of the highlights of his life.
Carl, you've won 9 Emmys, haven't you?
That was yesterday's script.
Oh, that's 10 Emmys.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. How do you feel?
Relaxed.
Then you go first. I'm too excited.
For outstanding continued performance by an actor in a leading role in a comedy series, the nominees are Brian Keith, Family Affair,
Bob Crane, Hogan's Heroes,
Larry Storch, F Troop,
Don Adams, Get Smart, and the winner is... In Hollywood, the winner is Don Adams.
I'm so glad I won this. I had a bad day at the track Saturday. But I would like to thank very much Barbara Feldon, Ed Platt, Leonard Stern, Arnie Rosen, and Buck Henry for all their help. Thank you very much.
Hi. The nominees for Outstanding Writing Achievement in Comedy are Edmund Hartman, Buffy, Family Affair.
Buck Henry and Leonard Stern, Ship of Spies, Get Smart.
Sidney Sheldon, I Dream of Jeannie.
The winner
Y
is...
tus trailers, visita mi canal.
In Hollywood, the winners are Buck Henry and Leonard Stern.
For this, I thank the Academy for being great fun to write for. Thank you, Don, Barbara, and Ed. And for continual satiric inspiration, I want to thank all those zanies in the CIA and the FBI.
Precisely what I was going to say. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the best performance by an actor in the leading role in a comedy series. And the nominees are Don Adams, Get Smart, Richard Benjamin, He and She, Sebastian Cabot, Family Affair, Brian Keith, Family Affair, Dick York, Bewitched. And the winner? In Hollywood, the winner is Don Adams and Get Smart. I think I'm going to hyperventilate. I think I can't catch my breath. I would like to thank, this is a great honor again, I would like to thank our producer, Bert Nadella. I would like to thank 99 Barbara Feldon. I would like to thank the chief, Ed Platt, for making this possible. I would like to thank my wife, Dorothy, who has been the inspiration for anything that I might have done that is worthwhile. Thank you. Here now to present the awards for Outstanding Comedy Series. Those delightful delinquents, Tommy and Dick Smothers, who are here tonight in the custody of beautiful Eva Gabor. Take it, Dick.
Thank you, Tommy. For outstanding...
Before you go any further, though, I want to know why that you came in with a thing on your lip. A lot of people are probably wondering about your thing.
What you're talking about?
Is the thing on my lip. For Outstanding Comedy Series, the nominees are Bewitched, William Asher, producer, Family Affair, Edmund Hartman, producer.
Now you.
Your turn. Take it, Tom.
I just wondered, though, why that you had, because I haven't seen you that much either. I've been busy.
Yeah. Okay, take it, Tom.
She looks different.
Thank you.
I don't even know if I know how to talk to you anymore.
All right, Tommy.
Get Smart, Bert Nadella, producer. Hogan's Heroes, Edward H. Feldman, producer.
The Lucy Show.
Just a second.
Tommy Thompson, producer. And may I have the envelope, please? Now you can't talk because this is very exciting. And the winner is in Hollywood. Get Smart.
I am hyperventilating, as Don said. This is really a cumulative award. We're going into our fourth season now, and I'd like to accept this with thanks from myself and also thank Leonard Stern and Jay Sandrich, Arnie Rosen, Arnie Sultan, Don, Barbara, and Ed Flatt, and the most wonderful crew a producer could ever hope to have. Thank you.
And now for Outstanding Directorial Achievement in a Comedy Episode, the nominees are Danny Arnold, That Girl, Bruce Bilson, Get Smart, James Frawley, The Monkees.
And the winner is, in Hollywood, the winner is Bruce Bilson for Get Smart. Maxwell Smart, final out.
Tonight is my birthday, and I can't think of a nicer present if you've got to turn 40. I want to thank everybody on the Get Smart show, the cast, the crew, the producers, but most of all, I want to thank the man who 3.5 years ago said to me, Bruce, I want to give you a chance to direct, and that's Mr. Bob Sweeney. Thanks, Sweeney.
One of our colder adventures. I remember getting up at 4 a.m. to go down to Pasadena and being wrapped in blankets. It is so cold at that hour in the morning in California. And getting on the front of this in my wedding dress from the show and sailing past finally the judges and the people who were commentating it for the country to see and so forth. And as we passed the NBC commentators, they said, and here comes the float with Don Adams and Barbara Eden. And I thought, she got all the publicity and I had to get up at 4 in the morning.
It's nice having you back with us again.
Well, thank you, Andy. It's nice to be back. You know, after doing a film show for so long, it's always exciting to get back in front of a live audience again.
Imagine.
I don't know, there's something about a live audience, the closeness, the contact, the communication. Yeah. I think a live audience gives you something. I think it's the flu. You know, I learned something about the flu, Andy.
What's that?
Well, they had a special on television that told all about the Asian flu. You see, there are two types of Asian flu. There's type A and there's type B. With type A, you get fried shrimp. And with type B, you get almond duck and egg roll.
I know.
But with type B, you can't get it unless 2 or more in the family get it. Would you believe 3 or more?
Did you have the flu at all?
No, it passed me right by, Andy.
Gee, you're lucky. It passed me by, too, I'm very happy to say. But, you know, an awful lot of people, friends of mine, seem to have been touched by it some way.
Yes. Well, you see, I have a fantastic doctor. That's the reason that it didn't bother me. Great doctor.
Specialist?
Well, no, he's not a specialist, but I don't think that's important. I had a friend of mine once who went to a big specialist. He was a liver specialist. Treated this friend of mine for liver trouble for 12 years. And then this friend of mine finally died of kidney trouble. I'd say that my doctor is the greatest in the world, but I'll say this for him. If he treats you for liver trouble, you die of liver trouble. And it doesn't take 12 years either. I tell you, the reason that I really like this doctor is that he's one of these doctors that doesn't care about money. You know, like money isn't a big thing with him. For example, if you go to him and you say, Doc, I'm sick, and I need an operation, and I need it badly, but I don't have any money. You'll say, that's all right, forget it. Forget the operation.
Now that you've got a couple months off for the summer, what do you intend to do? Play golf and things?
Well, play golf, and I do a lot of reading, Andy.
Oh, yeah? What kind of books?
Well, mostly I read historical novels.
Really?
Yes, like this one. I have one with me. I've been reading this one.
Oh,
this is an historical novel, and it's it's all about a girl who rises from the banks of the Mississippi mudflats to become the flame of old New Orleans. And it's called The Girl Who Rises from the Banks of the Mississippi Mudflats to Become the Flame Golden Woman. And it's all about a girl called Delta Levy.
Delta Levy?
Or is it Levy? I can't say. Levi? Anyway, it goes on to tell about the men in Delta's life. See, it says, there were many men in Delta's life. There was Lance Cortland, gentle but arrogant. There was Cortland Lance, arrogant but gentle. There was gentle Cortland, Lance but arrogant. Arrogant Lance Cortland. Most of all, there was Roger. Roger was a man of vision. He had a great dream. A dream to build a bridge across the Mississippi. Lengthwise. That's a long way.
Yeah, I figured.
Anyway, it's written in just a wonderfully exciting style, and I should just like to open here to the first page and read you a little of this very exciting style that it's written in. That night, Lance came to Delta in the gypsy camp. I am here, he said. I know, she said. They stood sensing one another. I thought you were in Philadelphia, she said. I was, he croaked. And you left it, she wheezed. I left it, he said, his voice glooping. As he spoke, his breath came in quick, short pants. He came closer. She could hear his pants as he moved. They were corduroy as well. Lance took her in his arms. Their lips met. That gets a little messy here, Andy. Let's turn to the last page and see what it says. When their lips parted, Andy, there's something I've been meaning to talk to you about. About what? About that. I've been watching your show and you've been using my voice. Now I know you do other impressions. Why don't you do Amos Burke?
Because his voice isn't as funny as yours.
I'm warning you, Andy.
All right, you win. I won't do it anymore.
That's more like it. I'll see you later, Andy.
Right!
How do you like being a spy?
Well, it's all kind of new to me, Andy. I've had to learn a lot of new things like judo and karate.
Oh, yeah? Are you good at it?
Well, I'm pretty good at karate. I've reached the point now where I can break an 8-inch board right in half with the side of my hand.
Boy, that must come in handy in a fight.
Well, I don't know about that, but if an 8-inch board ever attacks me, it's in a lot of trouble, I'll tell you that.
When you contact another agent in a foreign country, just as an example, do you use a special password or countersign or anything?
Yes, when I contact another agent in a foreign country, I use a special password or countersign.
Well, like what?
Well, like, for instance, if I contact him, I will say to him, how deep is the ocean?
Uh-huh.
And he'll say, how high is the sky?
And that's the password?
And I'll say, how much do I love you?
Hey, Don.
I'll tell you no lie.
Don, really?
Wait a minute, Annie. I think I've got something. How many times a day do I think of you?
Don.
Sorry.
You know, your show must keep you busy because mine does. Do you get any time off for yourself?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I had last week off. I went down to Acapulco.
That's beautiful.
And, yes, I almost didn't make it back here for the show, though. I got hung up down there. I couldn't get a flight out. I finally had to take one of those non-scheduled private airlines. And I'm not usually nervous about flying, but there were a couple of things about this plane that upset me.
Like what?
Well, first of all, I like two wings. One wing is okay if you're going to kid around, but if you're going to get up there and fly. Actually, it wasn't a bad flight. You know, we all got in the plane, and the plane taxied out to the end of the runway, and they revved up the motors, you know. And then we had to be towed back to the terminal to refuel. Used up all that gasoline revving up the motors. They finally got the plane off the ground, though. A bunch of the ground crew got together and pushed it off a cliff. That got it out there. And the pilot was very nice. Nice-looking pilot, tall, distinguished-looking man. Gray, completely gray. Except for his hair. That was black. He was very nice, the pilot. He spoke to us over the intercom. Well, it wasn't really an intercom. It was a Dixie cup and a string. It's very nice, though. He spoke to us over the Dixie cup, and he said, we'll be cruising at an altitude of, 50, 60 feet. You're really going to get it up there this time. He said, we'll be flying non-stop from one end of the airport to the other. Where we'll transfer into buses. See, that was to get over the mountains. They were 80 feet high at that point. I think he was just kidding around. It was kind of a little joke with him to try and take our minds off the fire. The wing was on fire. And I can tell you that everybody in that plane was in pretty much of a panic. You've never seen such a panic in all your life. Fortunately, there was a priest on the plane who had been a fireman. Before he became a priest, of course. And he got a hold of an axe and he chopped that plane up pretty good. Everybody was a nervous wreck. You've never seen so many nervous people in all your life. You know how when you get nervous, everybody takes out a cigarette and lights up?
Yeah.
Everybody took out a cigarette. But nobody would light up. At least not as long as that priest still had that axe in his hand. Anyway, it was a kind of an exciting flight. The pilot kept talking to us, you know, over the Dixie cup all the way. And he'd say things like, if you look out of the left side of your plane, you can see our 9:30 flight. On the side of the mountain. I've developed a philosophy from this flight. If the Lord had meant us to fly, he'd have given us wings. I heard my pilot say that just Anyway, I got here this morning. First thing I did as soon as I got here, Andy, right out to the golf course.
What happened?
I had a hold of nothing.
How do you get a hold of nothing?
I missed the ball and sank the divot. You know, I play so much golf, Andy. A lot of times I go out by myself, you know, and I'm like the other week I was out by myself. I was on the first tee, and some guy came along, a total stranger, and he said, do you mind if I play along with you? I said, no, glad to have you. Get up and hit. Sure. So he got up on the first tee, and he took out a brand new ball, put it down, got up, took a big swing, right into the lake. Took out another new ball, right into the lake. Took out another new ball, over the fence, into the road. So I said to him, look, why don't you use an old ball? And he said, I've never had any.
For Outstanding Comedy Series, the nominees are Bewitched, William Asher, producer, Harry Ackerman, executive producer. Family Affair, Edmund Hartman, producer. Don Feddersen, executive producer. Get Smart, Burt Nodella, producer. Arnie Sultan, executive producer. The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, Stanley Rubin, producer. Julie, Hal Cantor, executive producer. May I have the envelope, please, dear? Here we go. And the winner is Burt Nodella, producer. Arnie Sultan, executive producer. Get Smart.
2 years in a row, I want to thank all the people connected with the show again, Don Adams, Barbara Feld, Ned Platt, all the people at Talent Associates, our directors, crew, everyone, and the Academy. Thank you very much.
For outstanding performance by an actor in a leading role in a comedy series, the nominees are Brian Keith, Family Affair, Don Adams, Get Smart, Edward Mulhare, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, Lloyd Nolan, Julia. And the winner. In Hollywood, the winner is Don Adams.
Don Adams now has been nominated 4 times. He won 3 times.
Every year, hyperventilation. I would like to thank Leonard Stern and Arnie Sultan, Chris Hayward. Particularly, I would like to thank the Chief, Ed Platt. I would like to thank Agent 99, Barbara Felden. I almost forgot your number, Barbara. And I would like to thank my wife, of course, who is always my inspiration. And I would like to thank NBC for giving me the chance to win this for the 3rd time. And I would like to thank CBS for picking me up next year to get another crack at it. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Welcome to Jurassic Park. I want to thank everyone in the world that I know and everyone in the world that I don't know for giving me this award.
Max.
I want to thank my dog, Sweetie, and her girlfriend, Butch.
Max.
What is it, 99? Don't tell me they're not giving me an award.
They're not giving you an award.
I asked you not to tell me that.